Hi again everybody, and welcome to the fourth in this series of videos all about how to do the AAT synoptic practice tests, and this one is all about how to do part C of the practice tests. Now this part of the practice test is largely to do with pivot tables and pivot charts. So before you watch the rest of this video, I strongly suggest you go back to the Padlet and have a look at the pivot table resources that I put on the Padlet. You'll have to scroll right down to the bottom, but these three resources here, the first one is all about pivot tables, what they are, what they do, and how do I create one. Then there's a video all about pivot tables and a more advanced video as well. So have a look at those and then come back to this instructional video and you'll be in a much better position to carry it out. Okay, so hopefully you've gone away and looked at those resources on Padlet and you're ready to have a go at this now. The instructions for this part of the task are as follows. This is part C, so we need to, in this part, we're going to insert a pivot chart and a pivot table into a new worksheet and it will show the number of diamond type sinks sold in each of the 6 months from July to December. And we need to ensure the pivot table is sorted in chronological month order. Again, that sounds quite difficult, but as you'll see in this video, hopefully it isn't. Then we'll need to create a pivot chart and format the chart series to show best sales for the period in black and worst sales in red. We'll then need to add a title to the chart, which will be Diamond Sink Sales. We'll need to enlarge the chart so that the whole legend is clearly seen, produce a trend line and colour it red, and then finally name the worksheet Diamond Sink Sold. Now that all sounds quite complicated, but as you'll see in a second, it really isn't, so let's have a go. So this is how the spreadsheet looked at the end of the previous video, and the first thing we're going to have to do, the first thing the instructions tell us to do, is to insert a pivot chart and pivot table into a new worksheet to show the number of diamond type sinks sold in each of the 6 months from July to December. It does say there to insert a pivot chart and pivot table. That's not quite the order you do it in. You actually produce the pivot table first, and that's dead easy. All you do is click, again, anywhere in the dataset, a bit like we did in the previous video when we were finding duplicates. And then in the Insert ribbon, Pivot Table. Just this one click I'm about to do does several things that it actually is required of you in the instructions. The first thing it does is it creates an entirely new worksheet. Oh, no, I've jumped ahead of myself a little bit then. We've got one more dialog box to go through before it'll do that. There's nothing to be changed in this dialog box. Just click OK. What it's doing is it's guessing the range. It's making an educated guess at the range that we want to include, and we just need to check it's got that right. It usually does. Yeah, it's included. See the dotted line, the flashing dotted line there is including all the data that we want. And then just the second option here is just to start it off in a new worksheet, and the instructions require us to start this pivot table in a new worksheet. So everything's done there. Nothing else to change in that one. Just click OK. And clicking OK then, just very quickly, can you see, if you blinked, you missed it there, but it's created a new sheet down here, which is currently called Sheet 2. We'll have to change that later on, but we won't do that right now. And it's begun to create a pivot table for us. Now, I'm not going to go here into what pivot tables are and what they do. That was in the resources on Padlet, so we're just going to create it here. And it's just a matter of dragging and dropping the right things from the pivot table field list over here into the right boxes down here. Now we want the filter here to be by the type of sink. So I'm going to drag and drop type down into report filter here, and you can see that it creates a drop down list here from which in a second we can choose just the diamond sinks. We want the row labels in this pivot table to be the months, which is in a field called when. So we drag when down into row labels, and you can see there it's got all the months there that it's taken out of the data set. And we want the values to be sold here, so I'm going to drag sold down into the values box. And that's really it, really, apart from a couple of things. I'm just going to make the pivot table a little bit bigger. Just zoom in a little bit there. And also at the moment it's showing all types of sink. We only want the diamond sinks to be shown, so you can see this drop-down list I showed you just now includes all the types of sink, and I'm just going to choose diamond from there and click OK. And that's our pivot table done. And you can see that it's a summary of how many diamond sinks were sold in each month of the year, which is what's required in the instructions. So it's time to create the pivot chart then, which will just be a chart of this information. And for that, all you do is, if you're not in it already, go to Pivot Table Tools and Options, and you should be able to see a pivot chart option by here. So that's Pivot Table, Options, Pivot Chart. Clicking that just gives us an option of types of chart. Again, no need to change anything there, it's a simple bar chart. And there is the chart created, which is another thing we had to do in the instructions. Checking my instructions now. The next thing that is required for us to do is format the chart series to show best sales for the period in black and worst sales in red. So basically, as you can see, the worst sales were in August and the best sales were in September. So it wants us to make this bar in the bar chart red, and this chart, the September bar, sorry, not chart, bar, make it black. And again, that's simplicity itself. All you do is you click on the August bar. We need to make this red. And to begin with, that first click, if you notice, if you look very carefully, you can see that actually all the bars are selected. But if you click it again, you can just see then that just the August bar in this bar chart is selected, and then double click on it and we get the Format Data Point dialog box, which includes a fill option. I'm going to go solid fill, and the default is a sort of a horrible kind of orange color. I'm going to change that to red, and it's as simple as that. You can see it's also expanded the key here as well, which now includes all of the months instead of just saying I think it said text before. I think it just said total before. Now it's got all the months in it, and the even in the legend here, the August month is red as well. Do the same for September, but make it black. Fill, solid fill, black. Click close, and that part of the instructions is done. That part of the requirements is done. So I'm now going to, the next thing it's asked me to do is to add a chart title, Diamond Sink Sales. Again, that's simplicity itself here. I'm just going to click in the box here, get rid of what's in there already, and type Diamond Sink Sales in there, like so. Looking at my instructions, the next thing it tells me to do is enlarge the chart so that the whole legend is clearly seen. It doesn't really need enlarging much. I'm just going to make it, oh, that's better. That's straight away better, actually, just enlarging it a bit. Just makes it much better proportion there. I might move the title up a little bit just for the balance of the chart there. That looks, I'm much happy with that now. Next instruction then is produce a trend line and color it red. A trend line is just a line that's added to a chart that shows the general trend of the information, how the sales of diamond sinks changed as a rough sort of line in the chart. So to do that, you just right click on anywhere on the chart really, and you'll see, that was a right click there, you'll see the add trend line option here. Click on that. You shouldn't have to change very much here because the default is linear, which is what we want. Don't change anything else in there apart from the line color, which the instructions require us to change to red. So I've gone line color there, solid line, and choose red. Click close, and there you see the trend line. It's showing us actually that although the sales of diamond sinks went up and down, the general trend was a very, very level, very level sales across those 6 months. So that's all looking pretty good there. The final thing that I'm required to do here is to name this worksheet Diamond Sinks Sold. It's currently called Sheet 2. So all I'm going to do is, if you see where my pointer is down here, I'm going to right click on Sheet 2. I'm going to click Rename, and I'm going to type in here Diamond, checking my instructions, Diamond Sinks Sold. Like so. So let's just check that I've done everything that's required in this, which is part B. So have I inserted a pivot chart and pivot table? Yes, I have, into a new worksheet. Well, it kind of did that automatically, but I'm going to take the credit for that. And it shows the number of diamond type sinks sold in each of the, 6 months, July to December. Yeah, I've done that. Tick. Ensure the pivot table is sorted in chronological month order. It did that automatically, but again, I'm going to take that one. Format the chart series to show the best sales. Remember that was for August in black. No, sorry, September was best sales, yeah, in black, and August was worst. So I changed the colour of that of the bar for that month to red. I did the chart title, Diamond Sync Sales. I enlarged the chart a little so the whole legend, everything was nicely clearly seen and clearly balanced. I did my trend line, I coloured it red, and I renamed the worksheet Diamond Syncs Sold. So I hope you found that useful and you feel confident to go and have a go yourself there. As with all the videos in the series, if you're not sure, have another look. And I'll see you in the next video, in which I'll be showing you how to do part D, which includes doing a subtotal and changing some columns to currency and a few other things as well. So I'll see you on the next video.